The presence of the woman at the gate, Funk, turned the atmosphere from a somber wake into a pressurized courtroom. Adogo, her eyes bloodshot from weeping, stood on the marble veranda and looked down at the child. The boy's resemblance to Obinna was haunting, an almost identical 3D, perfect face that seemed to mock the family's grief. "Who are you to come to my house during my son's transition?" Adogo hissed, her voice trembling with a mixture of rage and terror. Funk did not flinch. She adjusted the child on her hip and held out a worn leather wallet. Inside was a photo of Obinna, looking relaxed in his black crewneck t-shirt, laughing as he blew out candles on a birthday cake in a cramped, brightly painted kitchen in Yoba. It wasn't the billionaire's office, it was a home. A real home, built on a foundation of lies. Chief Nwachukwu snatched the wallet, his fingers trembling as he touched the Rolex on his own wrist, a gift from the son he now realized he never truly knew. "He told us he was working late every Tuesday," the chief whispered, his voice cracking like dry parchment. "He said he was closing deals with the Germans." Funk let out a hollow, bitter laugh that silenced the murmuring crowd of socialites and distant cousins. "The only deals he was closing were for our son's school fees, Chief. He wasn't a billionaire to us. He was just Bayo, a struggling consultant who promised we would move to Portugal once his big project was finished. He lived a double life because he was terrified of you. He didn't want to be your trophy, he just wanted to be a man." The scandal deepened when the concerned citizen, who had delivered the charred manila envelope, stepped forward from the shadows of the bougainvillea. It was Sigan, Obinna's childhood friend and supposed business partner. He looked at the family with a pity that felt like an insult. He wasn't just hiding a family, Chief. He was hiding the fact that the Nwachukwu tech empire was a house of cards. The seed money didn't come from investors. It came from a high-interest loan with the Izogu cartel. The crowd gasped, the name of the cartel sending a physical chill through the humid Lagos air. Obinna hadn't been a genius of innovation, he was a genius of debt. He had borrowed from the underworld to fund the luxury that his parents demanded as their birthright. Adogo retreated into the house, the walls she once loved now feeling like the bars of a golden cage. She walked into Obinna's childhood bedroom, which he kept as a shrine to his academic achievements. She tore open his closet, searching for something, anything, that was true. Tucked inside a pair of his neutral-toned sneakers, she found a handwritten journal. The first page read, "They loved the mask, but they would kill the man." It was a confession of a soul suffocating under the weight of expectations. Obinna had been performing a role for 28 years, a picture-perfect protagonist in a tragedy of his own making. He had spent every waking hour ensuring his family felt like royalty, while he lived in the shadow of a death that was eventually going to claim his life, one way or another. The humid Lagos air felt heavy, as if the oxygen itself had been replaced by the weight of Obinna's mounting scandals. By the fourth day of mourning, the Nwachukwu mansion was no longer a sanctuary of grief, it had become a crime scene of the soul. The Izogu cartel didn't send flowers or Hallmark cards. They sent 3 men in a blacked-out sedan who didn't bother to take off their sunglasses as they walked past the weeping relatives. They didn't head for the buffet or the prayer circle. They walked straight into Chief Nwachukwu's private study, their presence a cold, jagged contrast to the mahogany and leather. The leader, a man with a scarred lip and a voice like grinding gravel, placed a gold-plated lighter on the desk. "Obinna was a very charming boy, Chief," he began, his tone deceptively conversational. He had a smile that could convince the devil to buy a winter coat. "But charm doesn't pay interest, and your son owed us more than this house is worth." Chief Nwachukwu felt the room spin. The Rolex on his wrist, once a symbol of his son's success, now felt like a handcuff. He was a tech genius, the chief stammered, his voice losing its authoritative boom. The apps, the software, he was the future of Nigeria. The scarred man laughed, a dry, hacking sound. The only thing your son programmed was a Ponzi scheme designed to keep you in this leaky mansion. He didn't build software, he recycled old code and used our investments to pay off your old debts and buy your wife that duplex in Owerri. He was a bridge, alright. A bridge made of toothpicks over a canyon of fire. The realization hit the chief like a physical blow. The lifestyle they had flaunted, the high society weddings, the first-class trips, the donations to the church, was all funded by blood money and borrowed time. Obinna hadn't been a success, he had been a frantic juggler, trying to keep 100 knives in the air while smiling for the cameras. Downstairs, the atmosphere was even more toxic. Funk, the secret mother of Obinna's child, had refused to leave. She sat in the dining room, her presence a silent scream against the hypocrisy of the Nwachukwu lineage. Adogo, driven by a mixture of desperation and a dying need for control, tried to offer her a check to disappear. "Take this and go back to Yoba," Adogo whispered, shoving a slip of paper toward her. "Keep the boy away from the press. Don't ruin what's left of his name." Funk looked at the check, then at the 3D-style portrait of Obinna on the wall. She tore the paper into tiny white flakes and let them fall into Adogo's expensive tea. "You still don't get it, do you? He didn't hide us because he was ashamed of us. He hid us because we were the only part of his life that wasn't a lie. We were his escape from you." The golden sun was being dismantled piece by piece. The silver chain he wore wasn't just jewelry, it was a tracking device the cartel had forced him to wear so they always knew where their investment was. The knowing smile in his photos wasn't one of confidence, but of a man who knew exactly how much his life was worth on the black market. As the cartel members left the study, they gave the chief a final ultimatum: the funeral is in 3 days. After he is in the ground, we come for the house, the cars, and the duplex. Obinna's death is now the family's inheritance. The chief collapsed into his chair, looking at the Pixar-style photo of his son. The expressive, large dark brown eyes that once looked so full of hope now seemed to be staring back with a terrifying, silent apology. Death had truly exposed the rot beneath the gold plating.
For the finale, please subscribe to the channel.